Imagine waking up one morning and hearing this everywhere. Prices are rising, jobs are disappearing, banks are struggling, governments are printing money, rich people are getting richer, families are stressed. Most people hear these things every year, but almost nobody truly understands why they happen. And that is dangerous. Because if you do not understand how money works, then money controls your life instead of you controlling it. The truth is this: the economy is not magic. It is not random. It is not controlled by luck. The economy is actually a machine, a giant machine made of people, money, debt, spending, emotions, banks, businesses, and governments. And once you understand how this machine works, the world suddenly starts making sense. You understand why prices go up, why economies crash, why people become rich, why debt can help or destroy you, why governments print money, why financial crises happen again and again. Today we are going to explain all of it, in the simplest way possible, even if you are young, even if you know nothing about economics, even if nobody ever taught you about money before. By the end of this video, you will understand something most adults still do not understand. You will understand how the economic machine really works.
Part 1. The economy is built from transactions. Let us start with the most important idea. The entire economy is made from transactions. That is it. A transaction is simply when someone exchanges money for something. For example, you buy shoes. Your parents buy groceries. A company buys computers. A person buys a house. An investor buys stocks. Every single one of these is a transaction. Now here's the important part. Millions and millions of transactions happen every single day. And together, all of these transactions create the economy. That means the economy is not one giant mysterious thing. It is simply all people buying and selling things. Every transaction has two sides: a buyer, a seller. The buyer gives money or credit. The seller gives goods, services, or financial assets. Very simple. For example, you walk into a coffee shop. You give $5. The coffee shop gives you coffee. Transaction complete.
Now imagine billions of transactions like this happening constantly. That is the economic machine. Money versus credit. Now we arrive at one of the most important concepts in economics: money and credit. Most people think they are the same. They are not. Money is cash. Money already exists. Credit is different. Credit is when somebody promises to pay later. For example, you use a credit card, you buy something today, but you pay later. That is credit. And here is the shocking part. Most of what people call money is actually credit. Modern economies run mostly on promises to repay debt. This is extremely important because credit changes everything. Why? Because credit allows people to spend more money than they currently have, and spending is what drives the economy. Let us simplify this. Imagine you earn $1,000. Without credit, you can only spend $1,000. But if a bank gives you another $1,000 as a loan, suddenly you can spend $2,000. Your spending increased. And remember this forever: one person's spending is another person's income. When you spend money, a business earns money. Workers get salaries. Companies grow. The economy expands. This is why credit can make economies grow very fast. But it also creates danger, because debt must eventually be repaid. And this is where economic cycles begin.
Why people borrow money? People borrow money for many reasons. Some are smart, some are terrible. For example, borrowing money to buy a luxury item you cannot afford is usually a bad idea. Why? Because the item does not create income. You still owe the debt, but now you also lost money. However, borrowing money to build a business can be smart. Imagine borrowing money to buy equipment. That equipment helps you produce more products. You earn more income. Now the debt helped you grow. This is the difference between productive debt, destructive debt. Smart debt creates future income. Bad debt creates future stress. Most financial problems happen because people confuse the two. How credit creates economic growth. Now let us understand how economies grow. Imagine this situation. A teenager starts a small online business. He earns $500. Then a bank gives him a small loan. Now he buys better equipment. He runs advertisements.
He improves his products. His business grows. Now he earns $2,000. Because his income increased, banks trust him more. Now he can borrow even more. He hires workers. Those workers earn money. Those workers spend money. Businesses earn more. And the cycle continues. This is how credit creates expansion. The economy grows because people spend more. But remember, credit does not create free wealth. It only moves spending forward in time. If you borrow today, you must repay tomorrow. And that means future spending becomes smaller. This is the secret behind economic cycles.
The short-term debt cycle. Economies do not grow in a straight line. They move in cycles. Good times, bad times, expansion, recession. This happens mainly because of credit. Here is how the short-term debt cycle works. Step 1. People borrow more. Interest rates are low. Borrowing is cheap. People take loans, companies take loans, governments take loans. Spending increases. Businesses make more money. Workers earn more. Asset prices rise. Everyone feels optimistic. People think, things are amazing. Step 2. Prices start rising. When too much money chases too few products, prices rise. This is called inflation. For example, imagine a town with 100 pizzas, $1,000. Now imagine banks create lots of credit. Suddenly people have $5,000. But there are still only 100 pizzas, so pizza prices rise. That is inflation. And central banks hate uncontrolled inflation. Why? Because when prices rise too fast, families suffer. Savings lose value. Life becomes expensive. Economic stability weakens. So central banks react. Step 3. Central banks raise interest rates. To slow inflation, central banks raise interest rates. This makes borrowing more expensive. Loans become harder to afford. People spend less. Businesses invest less. Housing markets slow down. Eventually, the economy cools down. Step 4. Recession. As spending falls, businesses earn less. Then businesses cut costs. Sometimes they fire workers. Now workers spend less too.
And because one person's spending is another person's income, the slowdown spreads. This is called a recession. Recessions feel scary, but short recessions are actually normal. They are part of the economic machine. The economy overheats, then cools down, then grows again. This short-term debt cycle usually lasts around 5 to 8 years, and it repeats again and again.
The most important player, the central bank. Now let us talk about one of the most powerful institutions on earth, the central bank. In the United States, it is called the Federal Reserve. Other countries have their own versions. The central bank controls two major things: interest rates, the money supply. That means central banks have enormous power over the economy. If they lower interest rates, borrowing increases, spending increases, the economy speeds up. If they raise interest rates, borrowing slows, spending slows, the economy cools down. Central banks are constantly trying to balance the economy. Too hot? They slow it down. Too weak? They stimulate it. But sometimes the problems become much bigger, and that leads to the long-term debt cycle. The long-term debt cycle. This is where things become serious. Over many decades, people slowly accumulate more and more debt. Why? Because humans naturally like to spend more, borrow more,
Buy more. Upgrade lifestyles. During good times, debt does not feel dangerous. Why? Because incomes are rising, asset prices are rising, jobs are available, everyone feels confident, banks become more willing to lend, people borrow to buy houses, stocks, businesses, luxury lifestyles. Asset prices rise even more. People feel richer. This creates bubbles. A bubble happens when prices rise mainly because people keep borrowing and buying, not because the assets are truly worth those prices. And eventually the debt burden becomes too large. That means debt payments grow faster than income. At this point, the system begins to break.
What happens during a financial crisis? When debt becomes too high, people start cutting spending. Now the cycle reverses. Less spending means less income, less business profit, less hiring, falling asset prices. Then panic begins. People rush to sell investments. Banks become afraid. Credit disappears. Suddenly, nobody wants to lend money anymore. This is what happened during the Great Depression, the 2008 financial crisis, many economic crashes throughout history. The economy enters a painful process called deleveraging. Deleveraging means reducing debt. And unfortunately, reducing debt is usually painful. The 4 ways countries handle a debt crisis. When a country has too much debt, there are only a few ways out. Historically, governments and central banks use 4 main methods. 1. Cutting spending. Families spend less. Businesses spend less. Governments spend less. This is called austerity. The goal is simple: spend less money.
Pay down debt. But there is a problem. If everyone cuts spending at the same time, the economy weakens badly. Remember, one person's spending is another person's income. So if everybody spends less, businesses lose revenue, workers lose jobs, tax income falls, the economy shrinks.
2. Debt restructuring or defaults. Sometimes people simply cannot repay their debt, so debts get restructured. This means lower payments, longer repayment periods, reduced interest, partial forgiveness. Sometimes borrowers completely fail to pay. This is called default. Defaults destroy wealth because loans are assets to lenders. If the debt is never repaid, that asset disappears. This weakens banks and financial institutions. 3. Redistribution of wealth. During major crises, governments often increase taxes on wealthy people. Why? Because governments need money. At the same time, unemployment rises. Citizens need support. Social tensions increase. Governments redistribute wealth through taxes, welfare programs, stimulus payments, public support systems. This can create political tension. Poor people may feel the system is unfair. Rich people may feel punished. Throughout history, economic pain has often created political conflict.
4. Printing money. Finally, central banks create new money. This is one of the most powerful tools in economics. When central banks print money, they inject liquidity into the system. They buy financial assets, they support banks, they help governments continue spending. This happened massively during the Great Depression, the 2008 crisis, the COVID economic crisis. Printing money helps replace disappearing credit. Remember, modern economies depend heavily on credit. When credit disappears, economies freeze. So central banks create money to restart spending. But this creates another danger. Too much money printing can create massive inflation. And if inflation becomes extreme, money itself loses value. History has shown terrible examples of this.
The danger of human nature. Now here's the truth most people ignore. Economics is not only about numbers. It is also about psychology. Human emotions drive markets. People become greedy during good times. People become fearful during bad times. During booms, people think, prices will rise forever. During crashes, people think, everything is doomed forever. Both are usually wrong. This emotional behavior creates cycles. That is why understanding economics gives you an advantage. Because when everybody else panics, you understand what is happening. And when everybody becomes irrationally excited, you stay realistic. Financial intelligence is emotional intelligence. Productivity is the real foundation of wealth. Now let us talk about the most important force in the long run: productivity. Productivity means creating more value. When humans become more productive, technology improves, businesses improve, workers become more skilled.
Society becomes richer. Think about how much life changed because of computers, smartphones, the internet, artificial intelligence. Human productivity increased massively. That increased living standards. This is extremely important. In the long run, real wealth comes from productivity, not from printing money, not from debt, not from hype. Real wealth comes from creating value. That means the people who usually win long-term are people who learn skills, build businesses, solve problems, innovate, work intelligently. The economy rewards value creation over time.
Lessons young people must understand. Now let us turn all of this into real-life lessons, because understanding economics is useless if you do not apply it. Here are the most important lessons. Lesson 1. Debt can build you or destroy you. Debt is not automatically bad, but bad debt is dangerous. If debt helps you, learn skills, build a business, increase income, create future opportunities, then it can be useful. But if debt only finances lifestyle and consumption, it often becomes a trap. Lesson 2. Spend less than you earn. This sounds simple, but most people never master it. Many people spend money trying to impress others. Luxury lifestyles destroy financial freedom when they are built on debt. The truly wealthy usually understand delayed gratification. They build assets first, then lifestyle later. Lesson 3. Learn valuable skills. Your income is connected to the value you create. The world rewards people who solve problems. Learn communication, technology, sales, finance, business, marketing, leadership. Skills create opportunity. Opportunity creates income. Lesson 4. Understand cycles. Good times do not last forever. Bad times do not last forever either. Economic cycles always return. People who understand cycles prepare instead of panic. They save money during good times. Avoid reckless debt. Stay calm during downturns. Think long-term. Lesson 5. Financial education is a superpower. Most schools teach students how to pass tests, but very few teach how money works, how debt works, how investing works, how taxes work, how the economy works. That is why financial education matters. When you understand money early, your entire future changes. You make smarter decisions. You avoid common mistakes.
You think differently from the crowd, and over time, those decisions completely change your life.
Final conclusion. So what is the economy really? It is a machine powered by transactions, human behavior, credit, debt, productivity, spending, fear, greed. And this machine moves in cycles. Short-term cycles, long-term cycles, booms, busts, growth, crashes, recovery. Most people move through these cycles blindly. But now you understand the system differently. You understand that credit creates growth. Too much debt creates crises. Printing money can help or hurt. Productivity creates real wealth. Human psychology drives markets. Most importantly, you understand this. Financial freedom does not begin with money. It begins with understanding. The people who control their financial future are usually not the luckiest people. They are the people who understand how the game works. And now, you do too. If you learned something valuable from this video, remember this. The earlier you understand money, the more powerful your future becomes. Most people wait until adulthood to learn these lessons. You are learning them now, and that gives you an advantage that can change your entire life. Stay curious, stay disciplined, keep learning, because understanding money is one of the greatest superpowers you can build. Welcome to Mind Economy Academy.